Folks, back with another reaction, back with another meowing kitty. But yeah, we're going to listen to some more Cocteau Twins. We're going back to the 1980 album Garlands, sorry, as she takes off into the void. But yeah, we are going to listen to the next tune, which is called Shallow Then Halo. As a phrase, I'm not sure what to make of it, so I'm going to think about the words individually. Shallow, not having depth. Now that could be in a literal, like spatial, physical sense. That could also be something that is held to not have a lot of tangible substance and is really superficial or plastic. It could be someone who doesn't really sort of have a lot of like emotional or sort of psychological depth. It could be about sort of the limited sort of emotional experience of a person. Then is used in two contexts normally, one in terms of time, like duration or chronology rather, so that this happened, then this, meaning like afterward, but then is also used in sort of logical or conditional respects, like if that, then this, although I would point out when you're writing conditional if-then statements, you can sort of omit the then. It's not really necessary and it's still very clear, the relationship without the then after the comma. Nevertheless, the point is, yeah, it makes me think more in terms of the time or like chronology related interpretation of then, because shallow then halo. Halo is, obviously it's related to a shape that is sort of circular, but also like in three dimensions, because it's not held to be like infinitely tall. It is more like a horizontal shape, although obviously you can rotate it to whatever configuration you desire. But yeah, it's something that is circular and flat. Ultimately, halos, of course, have like connotations in culture and religion and society. So a halo in that respect is often meant to be indicative of angelic behavior. If someone has a halo over their head, they are thought or said to be like free from evil actions or malintent. Although that can be used ironically, someone who has a halo over their head in terms of public perception, but actually gets up to some sordid activities. So yeah, shallow then halo. It's a really interesting phrase, but putting the words together reduces my ability to get a sense of what this might be. So maybe someone who has like, again, a very sort of limited range of emotional expression or like, personality, and yet over time, becomes seen as angelic or, having a halo over them. I feel like I'm really running off into speculative territory. But again, it's a poetic title, but one that is a bit opaque or like abstract to the point where I can't make much of it. So let's just get to it. This is Cocteau Twins. The tune is Shallow Then Halo, and it's from their 1980 album Garlands. No. No. We got black fog rolling in. I was gonna say black flog. Feels a bit menacing. Her voice is just crazy. Heavy, like brooding. Like faded, not lifeless, but like ghoulish, like beyond the grave, undead. Her like tribal like goat delivery thing. I don't even know how she does that. Listen to the death banshees. Is it? It's just like distorted guitar. Other tunes I said it felt like it was in a graveyard. This is another one that just feels like in the shadows, like sounds that make you a little scared, but you can't quite tell where it came from. So you just keep walking and you don't look back. Shallow grave, then halo, and like you're dead. Like dead spirits in fiction are often represented as having a halo as they leave their bodies. Stars and eyes too are often used for like someone who's disoriented or like rendered senseless. Stars. Oh. It's like a nightmare in song form, and I love it. Like ghost jets are flying overhead. This group is really cool and really like. After only a few songs, I feel like they have their own flavor. Even in the context of like dark early 80s music. Yeah, that's really cool, and I'm enjoying this album in a way that I didn't know I would, which again, a lot of these artists, there's been some information given to me, maybe some comparisons, and again, I think part of what was good about going through these guys now is that I'm going through a couple other groups from the early 80s who have this kind of like dark, a little bit off the beaten path sort of sound, like early OMD, I'm realizing is a good example of that. So yeah, it's absolutely cool to go through this album as I'm doing some other similar flavors, but even having said that, this is its own like walkway. Like they definitely, after only a few tunes, I'm picking up on a flavor and a sound that I'm now sort of like, yeah, it's like there's some other groups doing dark stuff where it has this kind of weird quality to it, but this is its own flavor. So really enjoying it. Her voice is amazing and very intriguing, that little like goat thing she does, but also like she has this like Irish keening kind of sort of sound. I don't think it's like technically keening, but like it reminds me, I mentioned before, and again I was hoping that this wasn't seen as like offensive, but there's some moments in her vocals where it reminds me of Dolores, the late singer from the Cranberries. Obviously, you know, this is a bit different in terms of the sonics, and you know, chronologically this is well before the Cranberries sort of rose to international fame. But yeah, there's a couple moments where it makes me think of the kind of like Irish folk singing that Dolores was famous for. So either way, a really interesting song and a really cool opening few tunes to this album. So once again, big shout out to all the people who had mentioned them. Big shout out to Han Solo for making this available. And yeah, let me know what you think of this one. I will see you next time. Peace.